Welcome to Taylormade Film Business Podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping you start a successful film production company or any business for that matter. Now, here are your hosts, Bridget and Tony Charles.
Welcome to episode 5 of the Taylormade Film Business Podcast.
Welcome back. Wow.
Yes.
Episode 5.
Episode 5.
This is amazing.
Yes, I am your host, first of all, Bridget Charles, for those of you that don't know.
And I am Tony Charles.
Tony Charles. Yes, guys, thanks for joining Taylormade Film Business Podcast. For those of you that's joining us for the first time, this is a podcast dedicated to bringing you all things regarding the film production industry as well as business. We combine all of that together and put it in a nice package so that you consume the content and actually use it however you see fit.
Exactly. And if you haven't seen our last episodes, which is we got 4 episodes out there. So
correct.
Hey,
this is episode number 5.
Go back because we, like I said last time, we got way more coming your way. You know what I'm saying? That's good. We definitely want to help you. We want to share everything that we went through. Now, this is your turn. You know, and all you have to do, just go back and watch those last 4 episodes. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Yes, subscribe, download these episodes, guys.
Exactly.
You can listen to them offline in your free time.
Yeah.
And also, if you're on Apple iTunes, please be sure to go out there and rate us. We would love a 5-star rating from you guys if you find this content valuable. And like Tony said, there's more to come. We have so much information and content that we would like to share with you. Obviously, we can't give it to you all at one time, but for those of you that's looking to get into the film industry, looking to start a film production company, or just generally looking to start a business, there'll be something for each of you in each episode.
Yeah, exactly. For us, you know, we own a film company, of course. We always want to talk about the industry.
Yes.
You know,
true. And we also always depend on you guys to send us feedback as to what you would like to see next so that we can actually be sure to gear those episodes toward the content that you find most valuable.
Yes.
And that you can use and apply it to your business.
And, you know, Business 101 Part 2, like I said, this is your
what
thing.
We'll be discussing today.
This is your thing. Once again, I think you should teach a class about business.
Let's just say that this is the class, right?
Oh, this is the class?
Yeah,
okay.
We will actually treat this like a class. I will give you guys as much content as we can in a small period of time. Just content that you can use kind of like along the way and use. So just like Tony said, this is the second part of Business 101. Business 101 Part 1 was episode number 4. So please do be sure to go back and download that and listen to that and take from that what you'll need from that. But I guess we'll go ahead and jump right into.
Yeah, like you said, this is a class. I could just sit back because this is your thing. I could just sit back and listen.
And for those of you, again, who has not been following us, my background is business and Tony's background is the film industry.
Yes.
So typically speaking on the business part, he usually sit back and let me talk a little bit more. And on the parts that's geared towards the film industry, I will actually sit back and let him speak a little bit more to that.
To be honest with you, you know more than I do.
I'm not sure about that. Let's just say that you guys have the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So we just hope that you take from it what you need and actually just apply it. So jumping right into it, Tony, Business 101 Part 2.
Yes.
I don't care what industry you're in, what business you would like to start. You cannot do it without knowing the basics of business. Would you agree?
Oh, I agree. Because like myself before that, you know, I thought, okay, I have a camera, I have a couple lenses, and I have a business name, and I said, okay, this is a business. You know, I didn't really know, which I knew about the legal, you have to get your stuff straight before you start a business.
Exactly.
But I didn't think it was important or, you know, like, hey, you have to do it, you know, and I think it's important for people who, like we said, who wants to start a business, don't know anything about the legal part. This podcast is for you.
Correct. And just like Tony said, he's absolutely right. And Tony, you're not the only one. A lot of people say, I'm going to start a business, and they just throw something together. They haven't done all of the legal parts that's required to make sure that your business is the way that it should be, right? The paperwork, the business licensing, setting up with the government, getting all of the correct numbers and documents. So episode 4, please go back and listen to that and take those notes if you haven't done that. But Tony, jumping into it right now with episode number 5, Business 101 Part 2. two, after all of that's been set up, is legally done, I would personally say that the next thing that people should do, there are several different routes that they can take, but once you get all of your legal documents set up, you have your licenses, you have your business card, I would say that the very next step is to set up a website. Would you agree?
Yeah, website is very important. That's pretty much, especially nowadays, that's the only way for everybody to have access to a phone or a laptop or a computer. This is, this is one of those, how can I say, this is one of the best way right now for people to actually know about your business.
Yes.
It's just one click away.
Exactly.
You can just, you're online in 1 second. You're
That's
online.
true. And it's funny that you say that, Tony. Most websites now is not complicated. When I first started back in the industry, from a business perspective, setting up a website was really scary for most people. It was coding. It was like JavaScript. And for those of you in the IT world, you'll know what I mean. CSS.
I remember those days.
Yes, exactly. So setting up a website used to be very difficult, and you used to have to hire people to do it. Now there are so many companies that really offer like a one-click almost website. They have the templates there. You just go in and change out that information and put in your own information, update it, find your host, and actually make it public, and boom, you have a website.
So basically, what is the difference between, I'll say maybe 10, 15 years ago? And I know this will be a long day.
This is kind of like an IT perspective almost. And for those of you that don't know, even though I have a degree in business, I also have one also for IT. So there is a whole nother conversation, Tony. But what's different just overall is that now they have actually made it easier for the common person to use, right? Before, like I said, you would actually have to go to school for IT. You would have to know how to code, and you would have to know how to set that up. Now, the average person, I don't care who you are, you can be a teenager, preteen, you can actually set up a website. So what's different now is they have actually made it user-friendly. It's like a one-click, you actually get the template, you put in your information, and you found a company to host it. You pay whatever fee that is, you upload it, and you publish it, and you have a website. So everything's different now.
So as far as like fees to have a company to host your website, is that expensive?
It is not expensive, and believe it or not, because there's so many companies now, it's actually continuing to actually go down every day. The cost is actually decreasing daily, if you will, it appears. There are so many host companies now, and for those of you that don't know what a host company is, that's the company that you would actually use to actually put your website out. So you actually put a website out there, but you have to have it set so that the world can see it, right? It's the internet, so you actually found a host company and you host, to put it out there. It's not expensive at all, and you guys can go out there and just Google it and do your research. There's so many, but on average, they start from about $3 up to about $10 a month. And of course, just like with any service, you can actually take your time and go through it and see what you need. You can add on other features like that's not in the basic package. So it's not expensive at all.
No, it's not expensive at all.
And that's a business expense that's well worth it. People have to know that you're there. And when you go to somebody and you approach them to do business, that's the first place that they're going to go normally is your website, right?
So basically, you establish your business. The first thing, you have to have a website.
Correct.
So do you have to?
You don't have to, but I cannot imagine doing business without a website.
Okay.
The first thing people are going to ask you for is your website and your email address. Those are just givens in any business. I don't care what type of business it is, right? Because people need to be able to research you and know who you are.
Exactly.
And that's a good way to make your business actually look very, very, very professional. You have a website. You have all of your ducks in a row. People can go out there and actually take a look and see what you're about and see what your company is about. That's what most people are going to start. And a lot of times, like, you go to people and you present them with things, and before you walk out the door, they're already online trying to research your company and research you and see who you really are, just to determine if they want to do business with you, right? So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's the starting point. And like I said, websites are really easy to set up, really easy to actually get going. You can do that pretty much in less than a couple of hours easily. You just have your information on hand, and sometimes you can even take time and actually sit down and draft your documents and just copy and paste.
Pretty easy.
It is. It's pretty easy, and that's why I say anyone can do it, and you actually must have that. And along with websites, in my opinion, and I know that this is one that you're big on, is social media presence, right?
And that's what I was just about to say. Really, like these days, man, even if you don't have a website, you can always start a business, online on YouTube. on IG, whatever the case may be.
Yes.
I think 15, 20 years ago, the website was a big thing, and which I know you said it's important. Once you establish your business, you gotta have a website.
It's important. It's not mandatory, but it's important.
Yeah, so that's what I was about to say. But nowadays you can easily just go on YouTube and Facebook and start a business.
That's so true. That's absolutely true, Tony. And it's funny that you should say that. You asked what was different overall from an industry perspective, just business in general.
Yeah.
A website is not actually mandatory. Some companies want to see it before they do business with you, but believe it or not, even more so now, people actually go to your social media accounts and look at that before they do anything else. IG is so funny. You can even just apply for a job now. You don't even have to be starting your own business. The first thing anyone that's looking to know more about you, they're going to do is go to your social media profile.
I know.
Yeah. So that's a good way to actually get out there. With that being said, you want to be mindful of what you put on your social media profile. You don't want to post crazy stuff because you never know who's watching or who you're going to end up doing business with, or where you're going to end up trying to apply for a job.
Because it's easier now it's for companies to have access to you. Back in the days, it was different because we didn't have Facebook or a place people can actually go and check. Okay, let me see who that person is.
That's true, and that's why the website used to be important. But like you say, now a lot of people go to social media first.
Yeah.
So that's very important to make sure that you keep that up to date. But with that being said, I would say that another really big thing that you want to think about is when you're setting up your website or your social media and everything, branding is really important, right? You want to make sure that your name and everything is consistent across all of the platforms. Because as you know, everyone is on social media, and if someone's searching for you and you have your branding one way on one website and somewhere else is different, people are not going to be able to keep up with you and your business and know who you really are. So you do want to keep your branding consistent across your website to your social media. Everything should look the same, Just like us, for instance, we're like Taylormade Film Company practically everywhere. So there's no confusion.
Yeah. So a question, as far as your website, do you have to update your website every year, or if this is something is it one time once you have your website done, it's done? What else you have to do?
So yes and no. You do not actually have to update it every year from a content perspective, however you want to. I'll give you an example. We're in the film industry, right? The film production industry. When you have a company in general, that's going to be what people sometimes are going to go to see what your company is about. With that being said, with the film production company, we would have to constantly update ours because every time we do a new project that's relevant, we may need to add that to our website just so that people can see what we've been up to and some of the content that we produce and things. So you don't have to, but you want to. Otherwise, you're going to look pretty much extant.
Okay.
And people are going to just think that you're not serious, right? Because it's the same information that they saw 5 years ago. It doesn't look like you're growing.
Okay. I understand.
Exactly. So I would say that that's really important. And that's the same thing for social media, right? You always want to make sure that you're posting constantly, you're keeping the information up to date. That way people can see movement and they know that your business is still active and you're ongoing. Yeah. And another good way to do that, Tony, is actually when you're on social media, some of the younger generation, they don't really use Facebook a whole lot, but some of the older generation and middle-aged people tend to use Facebook because...
I still do.
Yeah.
Am I old?
That's what your daughter's telling you.
I know.
But but Facebook is a really good place from a business perspective because you're able to go out there and then you can actually... you can join Facebook groups, right, and actually plug your business. But don't just go out there and just advertise and solicit. You want to add value to whatever you're doing. You always want to add value. So,
and with me, Facebook, I use Facebook for business,
Yes.
Just, advertise my company and, talk about my projects and stuff. But, like you said, Facebook is for older people. I'm not old.
That's what the younger generation is telling us.
I'm not old, but I still use Facebook.
Yeah, exactly, from a business perspective. Yeah. And later on, another conversation that we'll have on another episode is a lot of companies and businesses, they actually use Facebook to actually run ads. So they advertise for their business. And that's so much better now because, back in the day, people used to have to do everything to advertise, pay for expensive commercial billboards and stuff. Yeah. So Facebook, now you can actually just run ads on Instagram and Facebook. at a fraction of the cost that you would normally pay for those other mediums, right? So that's a really, really good way to make sure that you're staying on top of everything.
What are you saying? Like with all the platforms that we have available, it's easier these days to start a business.
It's much easier to start a business, and it's also easier to advertise your business, and it's much easier to reach millions that you never would have reached before. Think about it. Right now, if you start a business and you actually use social media, you can actually go out there and actually, continually post, and you can actually do the Facebook and Instagram ads. Before, you could only do like a billboard. That would only show people that was in your local area, right? So the world couldn't see that. Yeah, that's the major difference now, which I think is awesome. So that's a really, really good thing. So
yeah, that's good. That's good. So basically, you establish your business. You gotta have a website. I mean, you don't have to, but I think it's important.
Yes.
Now, since you put it the way you put it together, I realize, because I never had to deal with that. It's always your thing, to deal with websites and, But yeah, right now it's important. You establish your business.
Yep.
You got to have a website.
You have to have a website. You have to have a website. And those are just the general rules, right, that you need to do when you're setting up a business. Tony, I think, in my opinion, another business 101 tip that people often forget is when you're going into a business, and for me, this is a big one, and you know me better than anyone, but you have to have a really good bookkeeper or a good accountant, because you're on a different level now. You're not just producing things. You actually have a legitimate business. You need to be able to keep up with those expenses so that when tax time roll around, you're not caught off guard, right? Wow. You're actually making sure that you're where you need to be.
So thank God you're a jack of all trades. You do all that for our company. And you actually, I'm telling you, you should teach a class on pretty much like a business 101, 102, 103, 104. So,
all of the numbers, just keep the series going,
I'm
right?
telling you.
Yeah, no, I mean, guys, that's so important. Like accounting and bookkeepers, like you always want to make sure that you're doing what you need to do so that you're protected when it comes time to file taxes, right? And again, maybe we need to dedicate a whole episode to just taxes, because business and taxes, I mean, they go hand in hand. So you want to make sure that you get that right the first time, because if you don't, that's one thing that can really come back to bite you. The IRS, they don't play, right? So you never want to put yourself in a situation where you're being audited because you didn't keep up with your transactions properly. So that's why an accounting and bookkeeping is, for me, business 101 is a must.
Yeah.
It's not actually negotiable. That's a mandatory thing, in my opinion.
So as a new business, do you need a lawyer?
So you do not need a lawyer.
Okay.
But you may want a lawyer.
Okay.
And the reason for that is, especially in the film production industry, the film industry in general, any business where you feel like you need to protect yourself, right?
Yeah.
So basically, what you want to do is research your area to see what type of lawyers are out there that is based on whatever type of business you're going into. Yeah. So, for instance, for the film industry or for the film production industry, you're always going to be looking at entertainment lawyers. Yeah. Exactly. Entertainment lawyers, right? That's really important. And you want to look ahead of time. You don't want to wait until you're getting ready to do a project to look. Okay. This is a person that you've already wanted to meet. You want to have conversations with them early in the career, early when you're starting your business, just to make sure that you can let them know, hey, I'm doing this type of business, and although I don't actually need your services now, I may in the future, and I just wanted to reach out, to let you know what I do, and that way when you're ready to film or you have a production or a project that you need to cover, you've already had that conversation and you're not searching at the last minute. So. Amazing.
Which I didn't know at the time, we had to have a lawyer, so it was kind of like, okay, what do we need a lawyer for?
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. As a film company, you have to have a lawyer, entertainment lawyer.
Exactly. And again, you don't have to find a lawyer where you have to actually pay every month. You can actually just get a retainer, or you can actually just get it project by project. You only hire a lawyer when you're doing a major production or a major project where you're going to need them. And we're talking about that a little bit more in an upcoming episode. Several people have been asking about that. Yeah. We'll dive into it a little bit more, but it's just really important to actually have that.
It's very important to have a lawyer.
Absolutely. So, Tony, like I said before, when it comes to business, we can just do episode after episode all day because there's so much to be said.
Yeah.
But I think for part 2 of this, I think that's a great stopping point. Again, please go back and listen to Business 101 Part 1, and then actually come and listen to this one, Business 101 Part 2, because in this one we basically just recap, that you've been set up legally, you have your website, you're going to go out to social media and put your presence out there, right? And then you're going to make sure that you find a really good bookkeeper or an accountant from a tax perspective, and then you want a good attorney to make sure that you're starting those conversations early and not when you actually only need them.
But myself, I'm learning a lot from you when it comes to business. I'm all about, filming, but when it comes to business, this is your thing. I think you've been doing a very good job with our company. You've been on top of everything when it comes to anything business, contracts and, guys, this is always her thing. So I don't even read the contracts, but you, like I said, you've been doing a very, very good job, and you've been staying on top of everything.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thanks for that, Tony. And for our listeners, again, we are always trying to deliver valuable content like this. So please be sure to follow us, subscribe, like, comment. If you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. And what do you always say, Tony?
Hit that bell.
Hit that bell. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And once again, if you haven't seen our last episodes, you need to go and watch those episodes. And don't forget, if you want to start a business, this is the best time to do it.
It is.
We all have time now. This is the best time to go ahead and just try it.
So true.
Anything, any business.
So true. Absolutely.
Big, small, online business, anything that you're good at. This is the best time to really say, let me try something.
Exactly. So guys, once again, thank you guys so much for joining us. This has been the Taylormade Film Business Podcast.
Yes.
Once again, I am your host, Bridget Charles.
And I am Tony Charles.
Thanks for listening to episode 5, and we'll catch you guys again for episode 6. Have a great day.
Have a great day. You're listening to
Taylormade Podcast.